first race of the 2013 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship here at Hangtown. The atmosphere is absolutely electric. There's over 30,000 people at the track. The riders are all healthy, the competition is huge, and everything is so stacked. This is Georgia Lindsay, this is the Racer X Motocross Show.
What's up, this is Darren Durham. Welcome to Hangtown.
They say that motocross starts here. If you go to the history books, this means it's the 45th running of the Red Bull Hangtown Classic. But it's not just about the history of the sport. It's about the present-day battlers who are looking to begin their championship quest here. And as we'll see today, some take the long game, knowing that round 1 is no more important than what happens at round 12. But others were out to make a statement and show exactly who the title will run through in 2013. Let's get to the action from Hangtown. Some surprises indeed. Jason Weigandt here to give you the highlights. We're going to start with 450 Moto number 1. You know all the stories. You know all the names coming into this one. It's time to stop the talking and start the racing. And James Stewart, Ryan Villopoto, and Ryan Dungey get out 1, 2, 3. That's exactly the way you wanted to see it. Stewart with that motorcyclesuperstore.com hole shot. You know he's going to log down the fast laps early, right? Not quite. On lap 1, Villopoto immediately goes after the Yoshimura Suzuki rider and immediately takes the lead. This is lap number 1. And immediately starts to put distance between himself and Stewart. Josh Grant was up toward the front of the pack early in this one. Everybody else battling. There would soon be a torrid battle just outside the top 5. As for the leaders, you could see Villopoto starting to open it up on Stewart. Dungey would make a mistake. He'd have to go back to work on the number 7. Stewart just seemed content to ride his pace in this one. He wasn't riding over his head. He wasn't making mistakes. Wasn't trying to challenge Villopoto. There's Kennard running a solid race in the number 4 spot. Also had his teammate Barsha back there as well, who'd eventually move up to 5th. Josh Grant was up front early. Here's Dungey finally catches and passes Stewart, and again, Stewart just calmly lets him go. Villopoto was pushing hard, so was Dungey. Once he was up to 2nd, he tried to make a run, but there was simply no stopping the Monster Energy Kawasaki man on this day. Villopoto was rolling on the Hangtown track and put more distance between himself, Dungey, and Stewart. That left only one battle on the track. It was a good one. It was for 6th. It's the 15 of Dean Wilson, the 29 of Andrew Short, and the 32 of Malcolm Stewart. And then Mike Alessi, who had problems early in the moto, would get into it to make it a 4-rider battle for 6th. These were the 4 to watch, with the Honda men of Barsha and Kennard in front of them, and you know who the top 3 were. But then they'd all run into their problems. Wilson stalls the bike, goes back to 17th. Malcolm Stewart ran into bike problems and didn't finish. Alessi would tag a lap rider and crash. Eventually, that would put Short up to that number 6 position. As the checkered flag came out, no stopping Villopoto. He wins the moto. Dungey and Stewart will finish 2nd and 3rd. The Muscle Milk Honda men round out the top 5. Let's go to 450 Moto 2. James Stewart very fast out of the gate, although you wouldn't know it by watching this clip. But he actually was fast enough to grab his 2nd motorcyclesuperstore.com hole shot of the day. That's 4 points in the newly announced Superstore.com hole shot standings. Stewart was a lot tougher to get around in this moto. He had Villopoto and Dungey there again. Kennard was shadowing them through the early moments of it. Every time Dungey tried to make a move on Stewart, Stewart was able to shut the door and had an answer. These 4 were setting a torrid pace. Here's Dungey again trying to get the 7. Here's Dungey again trying to get the 7. He just couldn't get around him, and then eventually he ran into the back of Stewart. He'd catch back up, try a pass here. Once again, Stewart would have an answer, and then Dungey would go off the track, putting Villopoto in 2nd, and he didn't mess around. Once he had the number 2 spot, he soon went after the number 7, and by the end of that lap, Villopoto was in the lead. Yes, he passes Dungey and Stewart on the same lap. Dungey would then get Stewart, try to chase after Villopoto. He ran hard, but just like in the first, he simply didn't have enough pace to get to the number 2. Ryan Villopoto, there's no Supercross Championship hangover with this guy. He was absolutely on fire when it counted in the motos today. Wasn't fastest in practice, but he was certainly fastest when the races began. Dungey and Stewart finish up on the podium, and the Honda boys, Kennard and Barsha, 4th and 5th. Let's move to the 250 class. Cooper Webb making his pro debut here. Adam Cianciarulo not out with an illness for the afternoon, but lots of other rookies in the field. You see the 317 of Justin Hill. Jeremy Martin basically embarking on his pro career here as well after only a few nationals last year. Big surprise, look who grabs the hole shot. The non-hole shot artist of the group, Blake Baggett. Lots of questions about the defending champ's wrist. Well, it was good enough to hold the throttle on and get the first MotorcycleSuperstore.com hole shot of the year. First challenge for him, it's going to come from Marvin Musquin, the 25 of the Red Bull KTM, and look at Webb right in the mix, along with established players like Eli Tomac. You just saw a glimpse of Ken Roczen toward the back there. Keep that in mind. Musquin would go after Baggett and take over the lead. Frenchman looked strong early in this one. Once he got Baggett, he began to pull away. It appeared that Baggett's wrist was bothering him, and Musquin was going to be the fastest rider in this moto. But things would change in a hurry. Webb getting in the mix, Tomac getting him back. Still a spectacular debut for the kid. And you see that KTM of Ken Roczen starting to stir back there. Roczen started putting together an incredible pace. Now he catches up to the Tomac, and Baggett battle for second. Tomac makes the move on the defending champ, takes over the runner-up position, still has Musquin in his sights. Looks like Tomac has the momentum at this point in the moto, but Roczen would soon have something special. He would get around Baggett. Then he would go after Tomac. And the German absolutely on fire, setting a torrid pace. He's the fastest man on the track. Certainly no love lost between Roczen and Tomac after their battle for the 250 West Supercross Championship. But Roczen had something extra. He would get around Tomac and then immediately get around his teammate Musquin as well. Here he is in the lead, and the 94 kept that pace and pulled away. Tomac tried to rebound, tried to get around Musquin, and Baggett started to, as always, find his pace in the second half of the moto. Now the rider struggling is the 25 of Musquin, who looks so strong early. He goes from first to second to third, and soon Baggett would make the pass and drop the number 25 back to the number 4 position. Other great rides. Darren Durham back in action after almost a year off. And Cooper Webb in his first pro race had a great fight for a piece of the top 5. Look how good this is between two riders with a lot to prove. Late in the race, Baggett tries to put moves on Tomac. Maybe that wrist isn't bothering him, but then Tomac was able to squirt back away and hold on to the number 2 position. Baggett would finish third, and Ken Roczen, a dominant performance, passing the competition to win moto number 1. Let's move on to moto number 2. Some riders looking to rebound after frustration in Moto 1. One of those riders would be Zach Bell in the 167. The lightweight kid in the Geico Hondo pulls a huge MotorcycleSuperstore.com hole shot here, but is quickly, and I mean quickly, swallowed up by the pack. By the second turn, he had gone out of the top 3, and Baggett had taken over the lead with Roczen and Blake Wharton in pursuit. Roczen had the same pace in Moto 2 he had in Moto 1. It would quickly allow him to go past Baggett and pull about a 3-second lead on the El Chupacabra. Now Osborne is back there in third. It's fairly calm early in this moto. You see him, but the snarling pack that always highlights this 250 class is ready. There is the 25 of Musquin. There's Wharton. There's Jason Anderson. Not seen yet, Eli Tomac, but he would soon find his pace and go after this group. And then Tomac would catch a break because Musquin and Osborne would come together before the finish line jump and lose several positions. They would both recover, though, to finish back inside the top 10. Jason Anderson now running strong on the Rockstar Energy ride. Eventually, Tomac would get around him. That would put Tomac up into the number 3 position. But it would be a long way forward for Tomac to try to catch Baggett and Roczen, who were gone. Now watch. Every time it appeared that Roczen had this thing under control, Baggett would put together one of his charges. The second half of the moto, we know the speed he could have if that wrist holds up, and it appeared he had that speed in him at times. He'd inch up on Roczen, but unlike 2012, every time Baggett put a charge on, Roczen had the answer, and eventually Baggett's charge stalled, and he lost ground. He would have to settle for second in this moto. Still solid podium points for a rider who has had a long time off with a big injury, but Ken Roczen, a lot of momentum in this series, the way he would win both motos by considerable margins by the time the checkered flag was out. Baggett's going to finish second, Tomac on the podium as well. And the women's motocross Triple Crown begins here at Hangtown. You might think you know the names to watch in WMX, but we're going to throw some new ones on the pile. Maybe I could even say some shrimps on the Barbie. Watch closely. Mackenzie Tricker, an Australian, up front early in the number 28, and then a New Zealander The 151 of Courtney Duncan on a YZ125 takes the lead and pulls away from the rest of the field. Tricker on the 28, battling with Japan's Sayaka Kaneshiro for the number 2 spot. There is Courtney Duncan, 17 years old. Yeah, making that YZ125 sing. Kaneshiro and Tricker would have a good battle for the podium. Some other familiar names getting up in the mix. You had Pearson, and the number 2, of course, is Jessica Patterson. But Patterson would run into bike problems, not finish the moto. And Courtney Duncan wins big. Wow. Let's go to moto number 2. Okay, now they know what the Kiwi's going to throw at them. Now they'll be ready for it, right? Jessica Patterson gets off to the early lead in this one. Tricker and Kaneshiro are second and third. Then Duncan would get to second, and then Duncan would, yes, get around Patterson. And with riding like that, pull away. This girl was talking about the area and regional qualifiers she was doing for Loretta Lynn's, and then decided to come out here and whoop the best and take the overall win with 1-1 scores on a YZ125 against 250Fs. Get to know the name, Courtney Duncan. Let's send it down to Georgia Lindsay with Ken Roczen.
End of the day here at Hangtown, I'm with the 2-time winner of the races today, Ken Roczen. Leaving on this note must make you feel a lot more confident and also relaxed.
Oh, definitely. I came to this race. I basically haven't really done anything since Vegas because I just wanted to take some time off. Came in thinking a little bit, I should have done something, but I don't think it could have gone any better today. I mean, I had 2 wins. I came in rested. So it's time for next week. It's time to get back to work a little bit and improve on my performance. But either way, I still think I did good. Had a bad start in the first race, came back strong and won it. The second race, just had a great battle with Blake, and last year I was always the one who got passed, so it was good to make some passes.
Now, what do you think it is? Do you think you've improved since last year with having a year under your belt, or do you think Blake's slightly slower this year? What do you think the main difference is? I'm
pretty sure I am improved a little bit too. I mean, riding East Coast last year, and I also came from a wrist injury, and it was the first year, and it's all those little things. But in the end, I feel great. I can't really complain or say anything because it was 225 points, so it's all good.
Well, congratulations, Ken, 2-time winner today at Hangtown.
That's it for the Racer X Motocross Show presented by Motorsport. We'll see you next week at Thunder Valley in Colorado.